Well, hello, I'm Janet Morena, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, of course, last Wednesday was Ash Wednesday. And then, of course, we're here in March. It's like unbelievable. So I couldn't talk to you because it was like the Lenten season was the focus. But today I'm here to talk to you about what happens during the month of March. I was a school teacher in New York, and March we always focus on women in history. So we would talk about women in history, meaning women, like Eleanor Roosevelt, people like that. Okay. But then it occurred to us when I was talking to the head of our youth division, what about pro life women in history? You never hear about that. Maybe we should focus on pro life women in history. So that's what we're doing this month. And joining me today to really dive into this topic is our head of our youth division, founder of Stand True, Bryan Kemper. Bryan, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Janet, or evening, Janet. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And like I just said, we know about famous women. Of course, there's the first ladies we can point to, the wives of the presidents and other women who have been very dominant. Like people think of people like Amelia Earhart, people like that, women in history. But later this month, the abortion industry, they highlight abortion and abortion providers and thank them and all this drip about abortion, which, as we know, is the killing of an unborn child and damaging the mom and the dad. And we said, you know what? There's so many wonderful women who, going back in history and coming forward a little bit, who did so much to begin to highlight end abortion. So I wanted to go really back far in history first, and discuss the very, very first one we highlighted, which of course is Saint Mother Teresa, right? Yeah. Everyone knows Mother Teresa, who literally in India would take the women from the street in front of the abortion clinics in India and say, you don't have to do this. Come with me. And her sisters would take care of these women, help them give birth to their child, and then help them, with a place to live and everything. And so Mother Teresa was amazing. But then we have someone like Susan B. Anthony, right? As you know, there's a pro-life group that was named after her. SBA stands for Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America. And then the list goes on and on from there. So each day in March, so I just read you the ones that were for March 1st and March 2nd. And of course, every day in March. So we want you to go to standtrue.com. And each day of the month of March, you will see who is the woman in history that particular month. So Bryan, what's the reaction been so far? I know we did this project last year in March. That's when we launched it. This is like the reset of it. What has been the reaction that you know of the young people to this project?
Well, not just young people, a lot of the older people too that wanted to see these women recognized reached out to me. A lot of pro-life leaders were thanking me for this. And I think it's important, Janet, because you and I, we've been in this movement for a long time. We know these women. We know the history. But a lot of people may not understand the history, even with Mother Teresa. And I remember when I was still very new in the movement, full time, is when she was invited to the Clintons' prayer breakfast, if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
She called them out, and I was just like blown away by that. And that's just, I remember I think it was World Magazine that came out following week said the headline, "Look who lost her White House pass." And we just thought it was great. But then even like tomorrow, we have Nellie Gray. Nellie Gray, the founder of the March for Life. And I know that, we have Jeannie now, or Jean Lichten now, but people need to know who started the March for Life. Need to know the woman that was behind it, the vision, her no compromise values. She was an amazing woman. And our own Jerry Horn, here at Priest for Life, is the first person to ever introduce me to Nellie Gray. He took me backstage, Janet, back in my early days with the crazy mohawk and all this fingernail polish and all that. And Nellie pulled me aside. And she says, "Bryan, I'm okay with the weird haircut and the tattoos, but don't you ever wear that nail polish to my March for Life again. And I never have.
Oh, okay.
But she
Well,
was so great.
just so people understand the background of Nellie Gray. Nellie Gray was a very, very successful lawyer in Texas, Midland, Texas area. And, in 1973, when Roe v. Wade became the law of the land, making abortion legal through all 9 months of pregnancy in all 50 states, wiping out so many good pro-life laws, and it being the thing that overrode that, Nellie came to Washington, D.C. She gave up her private practice of practicing law. She was being quite successful, came to D.C., met with other women like Dee Becker. They had their little committee. And I'll never forget Nellie and Dee Becker telling me, oh, yeah, Janet, we had a little committee meeting. We thought abortion was horrible. We couldn't believe it. And so the following year, 1974, they planned the very first march. They actually thought, Bryan, well, all we have to do is do a march around the Capitol, make people aware that they're killing babies, and it's going to stop.
Yep.
Nellie always told me in her wildest dreams, she never thought these decades would have to go. So many decades of marching till we would finally overturn Roe. And unfortunately, Nellie herself passed away before we had the Dobbs decision. But she was really a true champion. Now, another person who is also going to be later this week on March 14th is Peggy Hartshorn. Ironically, Peggy Hartshorn, too, was a successful English professor. And she herself couldn't believe it, that they're going to kill babies now. Her and her husband, Mike, they did their first attempts at helping pregnant women, literally bringing them into their home, establishing a maternity home. And eventually, by the time you got to 1993, she became the first president of Heartbeat International, which is the first conglomerate of, pregnancy centers all over the country and all over the world. So, I mean, she's been wonderful, really. She has been quite
she's
wonderful.
Still going strong. Very strong.
Yes, she is. In fact, there's a new president, Jarrell Godsey, and she's now chairman of the board there. I mean, so the women that we've highlighted this month are all champions. So many of them have been at it for 30, 40, 50 plus years. And of course, there's younger women now who are beginning to take their place in the movement. But when we say history, I think we're really talking about women, just so the listeners can understand. It doesn't mean you don't know good pro-life women right now who are heading up organizations. But the focus of these were people who had been dedicating their lives for decades and decades and decades. Yes. That's the difference. Because we got some great women right now.
We could fill every day of the year.
Of course we could, but we had to start somewhere. Yeah. And the thing with a lot of these women, of course, some of them have passed on, and unless we highlight their accomplishments, it just will go unnoticed, right? So tell us about another one of women that you want to talk about.
Probably, Janet, one of my favorites, to be honest, is Judy Brown. Judy Brown is somebody who mentored me in the very beginning, who taught me a lot of stuff. When I in the mid 90s, when a lot of organizations, there was only a few pro-life leaders that were willing to talk to a crazy Mohawk tattooed guy, and that was Judy Brown, Father Frank Pavone, Jeff White, a couple people, but a lot of people were afraid of that look. But Judy brought me in and actually educated me on so much pro-life stuff. And again, she's somebody who gave up. Her and her husband were huge bigwigs with Kmart. Her husband is the one who invented the blue light special at Kmart.
Wow.
And they were willing to give it up when abortion was made legal and went full-time in this movement. And there are so many stories of women like that. And Judy is still with us, and her day was just last week, and I was just so excited because it was somebody who helped teach me in the very beginning. Janet, you've always tried to help me get the rough around the edges off. You should have seen me before Judy Brown had me.
Well, anyhow, just one final one I want to point out. March 23rd, we have Janet Folger Porter.
Mm-hmm.
Janet Folger was the brainchild who thought of the concept of the heartbeat legislation. And she was the one who worked tirelessly. She got it in Ohio. She worked federally to try to get a heartbeat bill going federally. So it's important to know that it was just one woman who really championed developing that heartbeat bill. So nice to know. So, Bryan, this is a great project. We'll
Yeah.
continue doing it. And I hope that many of our listeners go to standtrue.com every single day during the month of March just to see. It will take you about 30 seconds. There'll be a picture and, of course, a little description of that pro-life woman in history. So thanks for joining me, Bryan, and God bless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're going to kill me for this, but everyone needs to know, Janet, you're on that list too. You told me not to bring it up, but you are, and you do need to be recognized for what you've done in history also.
Thank you, Bryan. Okay. Until next time. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope you got your marching orders. Your homework now is to go to that website, standtrue.com, every day. Just take a quick 30-second peek to see who is the pro-life woman in history for that day. Great project. And of course, it's a great way of educating young people that so often the pro-abortion folks blame that men are the only voices they hear about abortion. And, you have no right to talk about abortion. Look at these great women who did something to bring an end to abortion, and many of them are still working at it today. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, Janet Marana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. God bless.
Hello, I'm Sam Brownback, and I've worked alongside Father Frank Pavone for many years on the cause of life. He's a true champion, and the Priests for Life have been wonderful champions of this great cause, of the cause of human dignity of every human at every phase of life, from the very first moment of conception until its natural death. The human species, the human person, each and every one are full of dignity, priceless in value, and Priests for Life stand for that. Join their work with them, work alongside them in this battle, this incredible battle, this fantastically important battle for life in the United States. We've got to win this fight. Join them.
Hello, I'm Evangelist Alveda King. Our team at Priest for Life produces many books, pamphlets, audio and video presentations, and other resources to help you protect the unborn. I invite you today to visit our online store at prolifeproducts.org and see the many helpful resources you can get for yourself, your pro-life group, and your church. God bless you.